Hello, this is Sunil Sunder Raj with Jersey Sporting News. Tonight, I'm happy to be speaking with Chuck McBreen, the head coach of the Ramapo College and New Jersey men's basketball team. Once again, Coach, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with me tonight. Great to be back in touch with you and to discuss the upcoming 2022-23 season and a tremendous milestone, your 25th season as the head coach of the Roadrunners men's basketball team.
Yeah, I've been blessed, and it's great to be back and be in an interview with you. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it's my 25th season, and hopefully, if I stay healthy enough and things go according to my plans, hopefully I'll be doing this for many more years.
Yeah, no, definitely, Coach. And we talked quite a bit off there, Coach, about the overhaul of this team, in the past year and how young this team is as well. And I had to, just to go over that in terms of what the expectations are, so with such a young group, for this season.
Well, for me, I try to be realistic, but the ultimate goal is to win the NJAC.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to start off with and all. But if we're being, really honest here, I feel, we had a core group where we started 4 freshmen and played 7 freshmen last year.
Mhm.
And those guys were all back. We brought back 8 guys total. We added 11 newcomers to the group, no seniors in the class. So we're going into this season with 18 freshmen and sophomores. It's again repeating the same process where you just have too many new guys trying to learn a system. So, hopefully now we keep these core guys together and we only have to bring in 3 or 4 guys or 3 or 4 main pieces to this puzzle to get us back to the top. And so I'm hoping to take the steps to get back in the NJAC playoffs and then really compete for an NJAC championship in these
Mhm.
next 2 years when those guys are juniors and seniors.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just had to ask you. I know it was a tough year. I mean, 6-17, 5-12 in the NJAC, but at least playing that, in the tournament, you lost to TCNJ, excuse me,
Yep.
81-74. But just to get, those guys a taste of what tournament, time is like. How vital was that for those players, Coach?
I think it was very important because knowing the season that they had wasn't so good, for them to be in the postseason because it was an unusual year where they let everybody get in. So normally we wouldn't have made the playoffs. So we were fortunate based on what the league decided to do because of the pandemic. But they got experience and we got an opportunity to go on a road and play at TCNJ. And now the guys, got a taste of it. And now they know that they don't make it if they are in the seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th spot. So,
Mhm.
the goal is to get up in the top 6. It's no different than a lottery. You got to be in it to win it. So, in order for us to have a chance to win the NJAC, we got to get up in the regular season into one of those 6 spots.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, want to ask you a couple of key players that are returning, this season, Coach McBreen. Shane Rooney, the NJAC men's basketball rookie of the year, uh, averaged 9.3 points per game, 7.2 rebounds. Jordan Myers led the team in scoring. Peter Gorman. Just if you could talk about those 3 guys and just, again, how pivotal they are in terms of the success of this year's team.
Well, first, let me say, again, I talked to you before about we want to amass high character guys.
Mhm.
You don't get better kids than those 3. Pete Gorman's a 4.0 academic scholar. Shane Rooney's a 3.9 academic scholar. And Jordan Myers comes from a great family and had about a 3.5 coming out of Immaculata. So
Mhm.
before I even talk about their basketball abilities,
Yeah.
one of the things we talk about is bringing in high character guys because
Mhm.
culture wins. Talent matters, but culture wins. And they're all part of that great culture that we're trying to build back, like the Final Four team.
Mhm.
So going forward, Jordan Myers averaged almost 12 points a game and 5.5 rebounds. Easily could have been 15 a game and probably about 7 or 8 rebounds. So the abilities there in our scrimmage against D2 Dominican last night, he had 20 points and about 8 or 10 rebounds. So Jordan Myers is going to be a factor. Shane Rooney, is very athletic. And like you said, the rookie of the year, he's got a chance to average a double double. and Pete Gorman's probably our best all-around player, and he's a gym rat. So besides being a great 4.0 student, he's my hardest working guy. So those three, along with Anthony Corbo, are probably going to be, you know, number one. All four are going to start, and they're probably going to all average double figures.
Yeah, no, that's terrific to hear. Hey, I want to ask you in terms of, you look at the breakdown, two juniors, I think, 10 sophomores, six freshmen. Talk about these newcomers. They were listed: Will Brown, Elijah Barlow, Justin Carbone, and Enoch Hutchinson. If I'm mispronouncing the name, I'm sorry. I apologize. Just talk about, out of the, some of the freshmen, who's impressed you so far? Who do you think is going to have that type of impact, said on this team this year?
Elijah Barlow is going to be the freshman that has the unbelievable impact. Will Brown is a transfer that is really good and going to make, he brings a lot of toughness. He played at a great high school in Hudson Catholic, so he's going to make a big impact. Enoch Hutchinson is coming along. He's played decent in some of the scrimmages. He just got to, learn the system. Elijah Barlow is going to back up Pete Gorman at the point and can play on the off guard, the two, because he can shoot the basketball. Will Brown can play the 3 and the 4 for us, and he's going to do real well. I'm going to mention a kid that's not on that roster right now, and it's only because we didn't know if he was going to be healthy enough to play. We got a transfer from Alvernia who got a medical hardship waiver, so he has 4 years left. His name is Ryan Cassels, played at Saddle River Day, went to Alvernia, tore his labrum in his hip, had surgery. When we got into school this year, it started to bother him. He went to see the doctors at the hospital for special surgery, and they had to do an MRI, and they didn't know if they were going to have surgery again this year. Things have gone pretty well with physical therapy, and right now there's a good chance that he'll get a clearance tomorrow. No, what's tomorrow? Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday to start doing stuff with us as a team. Okay. And if we get that clearance, he's going to be somebody that's going to be able to help us. He has 4 years, so he's considered a freshman, can really shoot the ball, high basketball IQ. We recruited him out of high school. He chose Alvernia over us. He's somebody right now that hasn't gone up on a roster because he hasn't been cleared by the doctors yet. As soon as that clearance comes, he will go up on the Ramapo roster and be eligible to play for us this year.
Yeah, that's terrific news to hear. I mean, we talk about, they picked you guys 7th, in the preseason rankings, and then Jack, Stockton #1, Rowan 2nd, 3rd Montclair State, 4th Jersey City, 5th Keene, and 6th TCNJ. So just wanted to ask you, Coach, just in terms of the way you see the NJAC, playing out this year in terms of those teams I mentioned, and how, I said, again, well, it depends, just in terms of, you got to play the games, but where you guys, where do you think, I said this team, the potential, for this year?
Yeah, so I think they got it close to accurate. They do list us as the dark horse, so that means they're thinking about us, and obviously they know our traditions, so people got to worry about us and all. If these sophomores grow up the way we're hoping, then we're going to be in the mix for a playoff spot. They have us just on the outside looking in. If these guys take the next step in the progression, which we hope they do, then we're going to be a playoff team. Our Final Four team made that progression step in their sophomore year. We started 4 freshmen with Mosley, Bonacom, and Jimbo, and Josh Ford and all. Yeah. And in their sophomore year, they took that next step and went playoffs. The junior year, that was when they went 26-3, won the conference. Yeah. Senior year, they went 25-7 and went to the Final Four. So we're hoping they take that same next step that group did, in starting 4 freshmen, that we get in the NJAC playoffs. That is the progression that we're looking for right now, is get into the NJAC playoffs take that next step and build on that from there. I know that we're hoping through recruiting that we add a couple of more pieces to it. You know, we have a saying in our program, we're not looking for the best pieces, we're looking for the right pieces. So our staff, including myself and my guys, are trying to identify the right pieces that we need to take these next steps going forward to be back at the top of the conference. So that's what we're working on right now in recruiting, and we're hoping our guys have developed and progressed over the course of this, off season to make us a playoff team.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, when you look at the schedule, you open up at Farmingdale on November 12th there at 2:30 p.m. I think is the tip off. And then on November 9th is the home opener at the Bradley Center against Purchase College. Just when you look at the first month, let's say, before you get into conference play against Rutgers Newark, I mean, which will happen on or occur on November 22nd. So just looking at that early schedule, what comes to your mind, Coach?
Well, again, not being cliche, but you know me, I'm
Yeah.
looking at one game that Saturday
Yeah.
against Farmingdale and being
Yeah.
1-0. We talk about going 1-0 on game day.
Hmm.
And so, Farmingdale beat us by 2 last year. We were up 15 with 12 minutes to go. It was the first game, December 18th, where the college allowed no fans. It really hurt us because I think
Yeah.
we would have got to the finish line if there were fans in the seats when we were starting to leak oil and squander a 15-point lead. I think they would have got us to the finish line. So they have everybody back with their big man. Their win against us was their first ever in school history. It really jump-started their season, which in the end, Yeshiva was #1 in the country at one point and supposed to win that conference. They ended up clipping Yeshiva, and through tiebreakers, they finished tied. They ended up winning the conference. So their win against us really jump-started their season. So we know what we're up against going there. It's going to be tough. It's almost kind of the same teams as last year playing each other, just at a different site. And the game was really close. So it's a toss-up game that could go either way. We know we have to have this if we want to start some early season momentum. And then we have Sarah Lawrence and Purchase at our place.
Yeah.
Those are games that, if we want to be successful, we got to win. So in our mind, I tell you 1-0 on game
Yeah.
night, we really got to be 3-0 going into the Newark game.
Yeah.
And then we come home for 5 games in a row, only due to the fact that Newark had an issue with the pipe breaking. That game would have been on the road. We have 5 home games in a row: Purchase, Newark, CCNY, Kane, and Stockton. We, want to get out of the gate, create this fast momentum, create a lot of confidence in our program, and then see how we stack up in these conference games.
Yeah, and I think, I agree 100%. Just being able to capitalize, on those games. And hey, talk about getting back to normal. You're flying out to Vegas. Said Las Vegas for the D3hoots.com. Classic. That's got to feel really good. To take the team out there, out west, and see where you stack up against, the rest of the competition.
Yeah, and they put us against a team that's ranked in the D3 hoops in the top 30 that made the NCAA's last year. That's really good. From Dubuque, from Iowa. So, that's not going to be an easy one for us. But, I mean, that's a long ways down the road. And I'm not even thinking about, Vegas right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Farmingdale on Saturday and how we can get prepared. We have a thing in our program. We want to play fast, play hard, play and be prepared. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm focused on right now is getting us prepared to play Saturday.
Hey, I wanted, Coach, said every year, just in terms of when those guys put on that, Ramapo College jersey on, whether it's home or away, what you want, those players, what you want that to represent, when they go out there. I know that you have a number of models, but just in terms of when they take that floor.
Obviously we have a rich tradition of winning and doing things the right way. So at the end of the day, when they put on that jersey, we talk about our culture and that our culture beats everyone else's culture every day of the week. And we want them to know what our culture stands for, which is high expectations and high standards. and doing things the right way and having the discipline to do it the right way. So, it's all at the end of the day, it's given them a thorough lesson in culture. And in the past, when we had 14 guys back and you only lose 3 or 4 seniors to graduation, the culture carries over. Those 14 guys carry that culture over, and then we only have to teach that to the new 3 or 4 guys. This COVID and what this pandemic has done to me and the program has created a situation where we're trying to teach our culture from scratch. And it's not easy in today's society of getting the guys to have a 100% buy-in. And that's where the struggle is right now. And pretty much, I've let my guys know, if you don't buy in 100% and don't want to be part of this culture, we are going to cut you loose at the end of the year. It's pretty simple. We want guys, and when I recruit guys, my sell to them is all about the culture that we're building here and building it back to. And they either want to be part of it or they don't. And I don't want a guy that doesn't want to be there and want to buy into that culture. So again, like I said before, we're trying to recruit the right pieces that fit that culture. And we want those pieces. We don't want just the best players. If the best players don't fit our culture, then we don't want them.
Yeah, I mean, you just hit it on the head, just emphasizing the fact, as you did in the beginning, that we're talking about student athletes here. You talked about the high GPAs. So the high grade point averages. I mean, that's so important in terms of having the complete person for those 4 years, Coach.
Yeah, I one two of my recruits, and one he's not even on a roster. He decided to quit after a couple of weeks, not even into the season, into the semester. And I brought in 2 presidential scholars. That is the highest level of scholarship that you can get. They're almost going to school for free. You're talking about kids that were in high school with 4.3 GPAs on a 4.0 scale because they had honors courses. And this is the kind of kids that we're trying to recruit, because you know what? You can coach those kids and you can make them better. And those kind of kids buy in. So at the end of the day, the one kid decided not to play because he just said his studies and his academics were more important, and he wasn't at this stage of his life passionate enough about basketball. I'm glad that he did it at that point. I wish he would have did it while I was recruiting him, because we wasted a lot of hours. He was a 6'6" kid that was going to back up Rooney at the 4 that we had. He was a 3-sport athlete at a Keyport that I thought was going to be really good for us. And, you can't be good at this level if you're not passionate about it. So he wasn't. So he made the best decision. And again, like I said, I wish he would have just let me know while we were recruiting, so I wouldn't have wasted my time.
Yeah. Go back to the fact, 25 years, I'm wondering, from the time you started day one, and I'm thinking, here you are now. And just, every year, just the fact that you built that foundation, those building blocks, said through the real tough years, said where you really had to grind it out to see where you have put this program on the map, just not statewide, but nationally. I'm just wondering what really comes to your mind, like, because this is not easy to do it year after year. It takes a lot of, I said hard work, determination. It's 24/7, 365, Coach. You don't get a lot of sleep, and you put in the long hours. And I'm wondering, like, just how you've been able to do it. You absolutely have a, impeccable work ethic, but just like how you've been able to maintain that.
Well, one thing you got to do is, in this sport, when you're coaching, if you want to be successful, you have to put, like you said, the time and work ethic. Unfortunately, with that goes the fact that in order to do that, sometimes you have to neglect your family, which is not something I'm happy about or proud of, but it's something I got to do if I want my career to be successful. So one of the hardest parts about what the college did to us by not letting us play is they created a situation where they took a national power and created a total rebuild, which it bothers me and frustrates me that we can just let a national power go to that point when we had it going so good. And the part that makes it so much harder, when I started the rebuild back in 1998, I was 33 years old. I'm now 58 years old. My body and all the things that I've gone through, the surgeries in the last couple of years, it's not, the grind isn't as easy as it was at 33 as it is as 58. But I will say this, my competitiveness has never wavered. Okay.
Yeah.
My ability to want to win and compete hasn't changed. It's actually my drive right now is even bigger than ever because I want to prove to people that at 58, I can still be at the top of this conference.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the college shut us down for a year, we didn't practice, we didn't play, we didn't do nothing. Kids were home remote. I only brought back 4 guys, started from scratch last year, cleaned house again, had only 8 guys, starting from scratch again. We are going to stay at this as long as I'm healthy enough, and we're going to see this thing back to the top where we're going to be at the top of the NJAC again in the near future.
Yeah. No, it's great attitude to have, and definitely see that fiery persona on the sidelines. But I think it resonates with people and with those players, and you see the the way they've developed over the years, and obviously the championships, regular season, conference tournament, NCAA. I mean, that's gonna be very fulfilling and satisfying for you, Coach. I know you're concentrating on this upcoming season, but when you reflect back on that's really got to bring a huge smile to your face, knowing just the product again of your hard work. Really has paid off here. I said again in the 25 years you've been the head coach.
I'm extremely proud with the guys that we brought in and what we've been able to accomplish here at Ramapo. I mean, we took this small school from Jersey that wasn't really any good and only had 3 winning seasons before I got here, and we got to a national power. And I want to get back to that point. I mean, this is where we belong. This is the experience these kids deserve. And, in order to do, one of the things I said to the kids in our opening meeting is we haven't had ever in my time a season like last. Now, that was something that was the norm at Ramapo before I took the job. But I said to the guys, I'm going to take full accountability for that. That's what a leader does and all. But understand, with that being said, I'm going to hold you more accountable to a standard, a much higher standard than where we were at last year. And there's going to be days you're not going to like me when I hold you to that standard. But in order for me, I took accountability for where we were. Now it's time for me to hold you accountable to get us back to the standard, that the culture, in order for us to have the culture that we want, it has to be high expectation, high standard. And the only way to do that is hold people accountable. And we're going to hold them accountable every day. And there's going to be days that they're not going to like me, but I really don't care. And if there's guys that don't like me to the point that they don't want to be here, that's fine too, because we can't win if the standard isn't at the highest point where it's got to be. Yeah. So, that's what we're working on right now is developing that culture that we had in Tommy's group, in the Final Four group and all. And like you said, everybody would like the process to be immediate. Everybody wants everything to happen now. Unfortunately, life, just like when you were a human being, you had to crawl before you can walk, and then you had to walk before you can run. We can't take shortcuts. We have to go through the process. And if it takes a little longer than we want, well, so be it. That's what it's going to be. But we're going to see this through back to the top.
Yeah, that's superb. Hey, a couple more left, Coach. We talk about the facilities at Ramapo College, the Bradley Center, first and foremost, outstanding facility. Definitely, in my opinion, the best in the NJAC and across the country. It's hosted, of course, the NCAA tournament. Could you talk about that? I mean, that definitely, as it stands out in terms of being, a chip there, like where incoming recruits, kids, can look at that facility and see all the amenities, but also in terms of administration athletics as well. Having that structure in place is so important. Can you just elaborate on that as well, Coach?
Yeah, so the Bradley Center was a $30 million project that we were going to go Division I into the Northeast Conference back in 2004, and we had a change of president and AD, both left. And the vision behind it was Eugene Marshall, who was our athletic director, who ended up leaving in 2005 for West Point after our first year in the facility. And our president, Rodney Smith, who came from Hampton, left and went back to Hampton. actually hired Gene Marshall because that's where he's the AD now, and then
Mhm.
Rodney retired. But so that was what the facility was built for us to go into the Northeast Conference, and it would have been one of the better facilities right now in that conference. So it is the best facility in the NJAC. It's one of the top facilities, I'd say top 5, if not top 10 in the country in Division III. And it's been
Mhm.
a great, other than last year, home court advantage for us over time. It's just been an amazing place to play.
Yeah.
And it's just you've been in there when we've been in the NJAC tournament or NCAAs when we sell that building out.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, it's no different than a Rupp Arena or Fog Fieldhouse for Kansas and Cameron for Duke. It's
Mhm.
the D3 version of that. You saw us make a half court shot and bum rush the floor like they do at the big time colleges.
Yeah.
You hear the noise is deafening in there. You got 2,000 strong in the building,
Mhm.
and all. So it is our version of those big time facilities at our level, and it's just been an amazing place. For many years, it was a great recruiting tool. It's one of the tools that lured Tommy Bonnicum,
Mhm.
our first team All American, to Ramapo. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's a great sell for kids. I felt over the last few years it should have done more for us, but some kids, it's just not that important to. Why? I don't know. I think for me, it's a great energizer every day to step out onto that court and coach these kids. And I,
Mhm.
I tell those kids it should be a great energizer for them because when they cross those lines every day for practice, they are in a facility that nobody else in the conference has. They're not practicing on the same kind of facility. It's got to be an energizer. It's got to be a great feeling to know that I'm practicing on this court every day and I'm going to play in front of some great crowds in a beautiful facility.
Yeah, knowing just the history and tradition
Yep.
behind it as well. The players that have come before them and have left that legacy. You're talking about those teams from said a couple of years ago. We were just talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Not even that, and knowing what they were able to accomplish, and they're following in those footsteps.
Yep.
Uh,
100%.
Hey, I wanted to just in terms, I mean, because you look at the campus, such a magnificent a place, and just the scenery around it, the mountains. I mean, there's so much that is enticing, that you're wondering why kids would not want to come there. It's just like
I
it's
want to know
unreal.
after speaking to you, do you have any eligibility left? Because you sound pretty excited about Ramapo College. Maybe I can recruit you.
I think I'm way beyond that too. Hey, Coach. I'm wondering. I asked you last time out, man. What does a daily schedule like for you? The time you walk in there to that into that campus, those facilities. You leave that building. What is it for you? Because I mean, even like I'm sure from the moment the last season ended, you already your mind was completely focused on this upcoming season. So I'm wondering what is just me the past several months have been like for you, and now ramping up those activities now as you prepare for the regular season opener.
Well, like I said before, it's a lot of hours away from my family. I put in 12 and 13-hour days. A couple of years ago, before the pandemic, I worked 69 days straight without a day off. There's not too many people that work 7 days without a day off. Most people have off on the weekends, if not the whole weekend, they have off Sunday. And I work, I do fundraisers on Sundays. I practice on Saturday and Sundays. I got to be in college for my regular job. Well, I say my regular job, but I mean, I'm more than just a basketball coach there. I'm an assistant athletic director in charge of the facilities. So I have other duties as well. I'm also the scheduling coordinator. So I'm in charge of all the contracts for all our team sports contests. So I have a lot on my plate that I got to do
Yeah.
besides just basketball. I would love to be at a Division I school where you have so many people working for you. You delegate responsibilities, and you just really oversee coaching a basketball team. That is not the case at Ramapo College or Division III. You have other responsibilities. So, now the good part about the college is during the season, they let me focus more on the basketball end of it. But all these days, like now, once we get back to school in September, I do have a downtime a little bit to have a little bit of family time from about June, July, and August. But once we get back to school in September, these are 12 and 13 hours a day. Like I said, I'm working 6 or 7 days a week. And from the minute I come in, and then like an organized person like myself has a daily plan on what I want to get accomplished each day and all. But then you get some curveballs that are thrown your way throughout the day. And then all of a sudden, a task comes out and I got to work on something with the facility or something and all. They just put me on one of the biggest committees at the college. Not something that I want to take on, but it's going to take on some time of my responsibility. It's called the Capital Projects team at the college. It's a 10-year plan at the college of not just athletics. It's everything that's going to go on in capital projects at these colleges for the next 10 years. And I just got put on that committee. And that's an important committee because it's big on the direction of where we're going as an institution over the next 10 years. Yeah. So that's going to take up some of my time. You know, I just had my first meeting with that a couple of weeks ago, and they gave us some homework to do with that. They gave us the past capital project plan, which was a 2013 to 2023. So that's why we're starting a new 10-year one where we're about to leave 2022 and get into 2023. And it's going to be the next 10 years at Ramapo. So that's another thing that's got put on my plate also. So I guess they must think a lot about me as a person at the college in my 25 years and believe in my experience that I can lend some major experience to these projects. So I guess it's a feather in my cap, but I don't know if I needed to add it to my plate. I can tell you this, there was no extra money added to my salary in order to take on this project. So I just got just more responsibilities, but no more money.
Yeah, plenty of multitasking, wearing many hats. That's just, you know, I mean, I really give you a lot of credit, you know, for doing that. I mean, that's not easy. And it said, I'm sure that, you know, family, like, you know, as you said, it takes away from your, you know, time there. But I mean, how important, I mean, just this journey that you've been on, you've been coaching, you know, I mean, 25 Rampa, but for much longer than that, coach. So I'm wondering, like, just in terms of just having that support, how much that's meant to you.
Listen, it's been tremendous. Number one, I've been blessed with this coaching career. You know, some people aspire to be a Division I head coach, and I had those aspirations and dreams, but I never let that stop me from being successful at the level that God had a plan for me. This was the plan. You know, I'm fortunate enough. I married a great person that I'm blessed to be, you know, in my life and be so supportive of my career. She supported me every step of the way with this. So that's been great. My mom has been there for me every step of the way. And, you know, family matters to me. So at the end of the day, we do a lot of, you know, I said before that I have to neglect my family some, but don't think that I don't do a lot of great things. We go away on some major vacations. We do a lot of things. We go out to dinner with other couples. So I'm blessed in so many ways. And I'm fortunate that I have the support system in place. And I couldn't have written a better script. The only thing that I could have added to the script was winning a national championship. Yeah. So I've been fortunate every step of the way. And, you know, hopefully that's still in the cards. That's still something that is in my goals and dreams, is to take Ramapo to a national championship and win it all.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I didn't want to skip, coaches, and I think it's important, is the coaching staff, the assistant coaches who also do, you know, the behind the scenes work. I want to ask you, I know, if I'm correct, I mean, there are a couple of new pieces. I mean, I know Trevor Williams is still, I think, still there. Can you just talk about your coaching staff as well?
Well, again, it was another area that I was blessed. I got great people when I had Pat Gabriel, Frank Cadena, Mark Cameron, the list goes on and on. And I've been blessed with some great people. And you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. So I've been blessed. It's been tough these last couple of years. Just like COVID hurt my team, COVID has also hurt my staff. I lost Pat Gabriel to, fortunately for him, a better, when I say better opportunity financially. it's not a better coaching situation per se, but a
Mhm.
better opportunity for him financially to help him as he has two daughters that are young that are going to eventually go on to college. So I
Yeah.
lost my top guy. That hurt. Right before that, after the Final Four, I lost Frank Cadena, so that was the
Mm.
second piece. And
Mhm.
then, unfortunately, one of my assistant coaches, Steve Shepard, who
Yeah.
was with me and a real energizer guy, uh,
Yeah.
and all, he had to step away because of some family issues. So I lost Steve. So the only guy that I have back, I
Mhm.
have no players back from the Final Four, and I only have Trevor Williams back from the Final Four.
Yeah.
So, and then with Trevor, Trevor had his first child, so that took some time away. And now
Mhm.
his wife is pregnant and due in December with the second child.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
I only have four people right now, which is the lowest amount I've ever had. Trevor
Mhm.
Williams and myself is two. And then Aiden Cole is in his second year, and he's young, about 27 years old. He's just learning. And then I just hired, a good friend of mine's son who used to be the manager at Ramapo College, ended up going to college at Quinnipiac and getting his master's, and was the manager at Quinnipiac on the men's
Mhm.
basketball for the last 4 or 5 years. So he's 23 years old. He's in his first year coaching.
Wow.
He was a
Okay.
manager.
Yeah.
So, and I have nobody else. I tried to
Mm.
hire a couple of other head high school guys that I was hoping to pry them away from high school to be my top assistant, with Trevor Williams. But this year it didn't work out. So we're going with four people right now. Like I said, it's the lowest ever, and two guys that really have no college experience.
Yeah.
So this turnover has been a major catastrophe at all.
Yeah.
It's put more work on my plate. Everything falls on me. But, I can't cry about something that, happened. It is what it
Yeah.
is. We have to make the best of the situation, and we'll get through this. It's just going to
Yeah.
take time. It's going to take more grinding, and we're going to do it. So it's not something, I'm not an excuse maker. I'm about results, and
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way to get them.
Yeah, no. Again, just a terrific attitude to have, Coach. And before you get the final word here, I think you're in a great spot, Coach, to offer advice to people who want to break into this profession. What would you say to them? If they're like a newbie in their 20s, maybe said and figuring out, said what's my pathway? How do I? What would you say to them if they're watching this interview?
First thing I would say, they would have to be passionate about this the way I am and all. They have to understand that there's not a lot of money at the Division III level, but if they're passionate about it, then it's not about the money. It's about the passion to coach at this level, and all, and understand that you're going to spend a lot of hours and a lot of time away from your family, and you got to be willing to do it. You got to make sacrifices. Somewhere along the line, there's got to be somewhere something is going to suffer. And at the end of the day, you got to decide, am I cut out for this or am I not cut out for it? And if it's something that you aspire to do, then you have to work at it. I'll give you, one thing that was told to me. So I was a head high school coach, and I was offered my first college coaching position down at Western Carolina University down in North Carolina, and it was
Mhm.
only for $12,000, and I was teaching, making 50. And I called Fran Fraschilla. So if you know Fran, he's on ESPN. He's an
Yeah.
analyst, and he was coaching at St. John's at the time. And I said to Fran, Fran, I really want to be a college coach. I said, I've been offered this position in college, but I have to ask you some advice. I only get $12,000. I'm making 50 as a teacher. And he said to me, he turned and said, it's pretty simple. Do you want to be a college coach or don't you? And I said, yeah, but you're not answering. How can I afford to be a college coach? Pay me 12,000, make it
Yeah.
50. Just because I'm leaving the state, the bills still go with me. The bills don't leave. So you aren't answering. He goes, well, I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you want to be a college coach or don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. He goes, well, you answered your question. That's what you want to do. You want to be a college coach? Figure it out. So what I did was I took out a loan. I left my family, my future wife, and I went to North Carolina. And then I got an opportunity to come back home, be a head coach at Ramapo College. First year was part time for $6,000. So I made less money at Ramapo than I did at Western Carolina.
Oh my
But
God.
look where I'm at right now.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
sometimes in life you got to take a step back, or it's 2 steps back to take a step forward. And I think it's worked out pretty good for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story, coach. Hey, you get the final word here, which you deservedly, I said, have earned, just in terms of family, friends, team, assistant coaches, the student body, administration, athletics at Ramapo College, and just to add another layer to that. Well, what's your message out there to the fan base, both here?
Well,
Yeah,
the fan base, I want to tell them, we got a good young product. We're making strides, and we need your support. For us, that's part of getting back to where we once were. Is getting those people back in the seats, since we weren't even allowed to have fans last year. Getting
yeah,
their support, and I can go on and on right now about all the close games we lost at home last year, that we had leads in the second half and squandered because we were young and had no people in the seats.
yeah.
It was twofold. There was 2 reasons. We were young and didn't know how to win, and we didn't have the crowd support to get us over the finish line. And I'm hoping fan support comes back. And now we've grown up as a group, and now both of those things go hand in hand, and we make the Bradley Center the place that it was before, a tough place to come and play where we could win. And then in regards to the final word, first I want to thank you for your support, your coverage over the years. We really appreciate that. And then, my final message to everybody is, be patient. I had to learn patience with this group. You got to be patient. The product is going to be strong again. Just give us the support, and we're going to get this group back to where it once was.
Hey, an incredible honor and privilege as always, Coach McBreen, and wishing you, the team, the assistant coaches, the rest of the program, all the best in the upcoming 2022-23 season.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. I look forward to seeing you at some games this year, and hopefully we'll do some impressive things that you'll be able to be excited about and covered as a former alum.
Thank you, Coach McBreen.
Thank you.